Tech stocks are rolling over as energy is actually breaking out. Let's talk about it on this weekly report. And a small teaser as well. I'm updating the website. It should be finished by the end of the week. I'm added the Growth and Gains podcast to the website, and we'll be adding a merch store as well. Very personal endeavor. There's a lot of designs I want on t-shirts that don't already exist. So I'm taking the opportunity to create my own merch store so I can have the things printed on clothing that I want. So if you happen to like it as well, I guess that's great. So before we dive into those stocks, we definitely need to talk about the Fed press conference that happened today. Overall, it was a big nothing burger. We got the 25 basis points hike that we expected. The market seemed to react to it pretty much fine. There was some slight change in language that made it sound like the Fed was actually more optimistic about the economy than they were previously, making me think that we could see another hike in the future. Overall, this was a big nothing burger though, which means most of the attention is going to be taken right back to these company earnings that we have in the current earnings season. And the first one I want to highlight is Snapchat. This used to be a company I loved, but management has proven themselves over and over and over to be incompetent. We heard during the earnings report that they actually screwed up how advertisements were being shown to users, which then led to a large decrease in the amount of ads being shown to an appropriate target audience. Now, the company claims they have fixed this, which has actually led to more sales for these advertisers, but it definitely hurt them on their earnings. Stock sold off significantly, and I think this once again highlights this management team could probably not be worse even if they tried. However, once again, we're seeing some optimism come back in the stock. And I do think that this is a company that once it hits a certain valuation does become a buy because they still have a very large growing user base that is a much younger target audience that I think a lot of companies are going to want to market to. And a more cynical take that could become bullish is if 2024 rolls around, they start rolling their debt, they start to realize they can't make their payments because they cannot for the life of them figure out how to make money and go bankrupt. They become an excellent buyout candidate. Maybe someone like Elon picks them up and then combines them with this company X and creates a conglomerate that looks like WeChat from China. I don't know. That's not the highest probability outcome, but I am just saying that this is still a solid company at its core that better management could likely take over and turn around. But let me be very clear. The current CEO has shown no indication that he wants to do a buyout. He owns most of the shares. He does all the decision making, and that is why this company has suffered. Better management could turn this around, but for him, I've given up. And now investors in this company may not be micro, but they're definitely getting soft as Microsoft had a disappointing earnings with them saying that their new AI applications for their software will likely only lead to slow earnings growth in the future. Should this be surprising? No. AI still exists in a niche right now. We don't have mass widespread adoption. People like me who work independently are using a lot of it, but big corporations are not. And I think at the point at which they do, AI will likely be sophisticated enough to operate on its own or incorporate itself into whatever software companies are using. And therefore, they likely won't need someone like Microsoft to help them do it. Just my personal opinion. I could be misinterpreting how this plays out in the future. It's really hard to predict, but nonetheless, this is definitely proof that a lot of the hype has been overdone, and this is being reflected in a very mediocre reaction from Microsoft stock. And some members of the Discord did short this company's earnings, which gave 20% this morning and even more as the day went on. Yesterday, we also had Google's earnings where they had a nice jump in the stock. Meta did the same as well today. For both companies, we're seeing that advertisers are willing to spend. And this is quite the surprise to the market. And for Meta in particular, this was good enough for people to overlook the poor performance that we've seen out of their new social media company Threads. So right now, as things stand, the tech sector overall has been a lot more resilient than I expected. I expected a bigger pullback here. I'm still looking for some targets in particular, especially when it comes to Tesla or stocks like Nvidia. We definitely don't want to forget that Biden is trying to literally block China from being able to buy US semiconductors. This is a huge portion of their revenue that will just be cut off instantly. Now we might see that get supplied again from hedge funds or different institutions that will buy from Nvidia and then under the table deliver them to China. But nonetheless, this will still hurt these company stocks. And we've already seen warnings from TSM who says demand is not what Nvidia claimed. And it's going to be even worse with this bill. So with all that said, if you have short ideas, you want to be in and out of them. A lot of them aren't playing out right now to the extent that I would like, so I'm playing into my winners and not going big into my losers. That is the way I trade. I did a write-up in the Discord. If you want to hear more about how to manage that, join the Discord. The link will be down below. Now, when it comes to winners, we got to talk about energy. I mean, just look at this chart right here. Look where technology is, the yellow line here, all the way up. Most people are flying high in technology. And where is energy? At the bottom. No institutions or funds are currently in energy, which is already looking like a breakout. Now, if you've been watching the weekly reports, this is nothing new. I was already thinking energy was going to be the next move. XLE positions already set up, playing into them more as well as they continue to move. CCJ is another one that I've talked about in the past. We had the big breakout here. We can see some consolidation. We're coming back to a new high. I think more highs are on the way for this stock as well. Remember, if you're in the Discord, I listed a few different energy companies that I like as well. And make sure you subscribe and ring the bell on the channel, because this Friday we're going to talk to a very popular energy commodity trader, Tony Greer, and hear some of his thoughts as well when it comes to the sector. And that's going to be it for this week's report. I'll be putting some more short form content out to cover company earnings, but it's getting late right now. I want people to actually have time to watch this before the market opens tomorrow. I also need to get back to work on the website, which will be done very soon. So make sure you go check that out, see if there's any merch you like on there, or watch the Growth and Gains episode that comes out tomorrow with Tony Greer.